Chi was a lonely child who was tormented by the entire class because of his appearance. The deity of the world granted everyone power before transporting them to a new realm. Chi, who lacked abilities, was often mocked. After everyone was transferred, God granted him a unique ability to consume unusual fruit, transforming him into a handsome man who eventually married the goddess. In his last moments, he questioned how his life had come to this. Chi endured 5 days without food or drink after being transported to the other planet, until he saw a worm. As he reached for the fruit, he was slapped in the head and realized it was ahead of him. The assessment system identifies this as the result of evolution. Despite his suspicions, he eats a bite and ends up throwing up. A voice in his brain announces that the fruit's effects will be triggered. He sits in astonishment, worried about dying, but nothing happens. Chi observes monkeys dancing and determines their level to be 120. After they leave their base, he collects the fruits of evolution and stores them in his box, along with the strongest recovery medicines in the world. Despite his absence, none of his classmates are concerned about his present situation. Over the course of the week, he consumes the remaining fruits of evolution until he is left with only 2. The godlike announcer offers him more power-ups, but the monkeys return to bash him up for stealing food. He sips some elixir to heal, but the monkey rushes forward, knocking him down. The game detects the monkey's bodily odor and kills it, despite its desire to consume him. After receiving a treasure and reading a book, he is informed by an announcer that his transformation has begun. He awoke to a slimmer body after being dismembered and his bones fractured, resulting in a transformation. The announcer increases all talents by 1,000, making him one of the strongest creatures with 9 out of 10 evolutions remaining. After killing the monkey, his level remains at 1. He decides to seek level 300 monsters to level up and evolve with his new super speed powers and guillotine kicks. Despite defeating several wolves, the player's level does not grow. Instead, he focuses on gathering riches and obtaining unique skills, getting legendary daggers and learning about the wolves' history. After a week of hunting monsters, he undergoes another metamorphosis, leaving him with only 1. But before he can recuperate, monkeys encircle him again, and a gigantic red monkey challenges him to battle them. When Chi asks if he can refuse, the monkey says no due to his appearance.
Emotional, damn it!
Chi assesses the monkey, which is a level 700 monster that has been besieged by enemies. The red monkey prepares a powerful blow, but Chi dodges with surprising quickness. The monkey is shocked since this is the first time anyone has survived their initial blow, regardless of what is said. Everyone has been weak up until now, so she falls in love with him. During the combat, Chi tries to counterattack, but the red monkey attacks him across the field. Chi nearly dies from the force, but the red monkey saves his life. Instead, she identifies herself as Saria. Chi asks why she has the name of a gorgeous girl and tries to cut her, but the monkey flies into the skies, applauding his abilities and shoving at him in a last-ditch effort to finish him. When Chi realizes he is about to die, he chooses to demonstrate his magical talents to the monkey and utilizes them for the first time. The gorilla strikes Chi after the water falls on him. Despite being nearly knocked out by a barrage of blows, he recalls being bullied and referred to as a pig in school. During his final moments of desperation, he understands he needs to find a way to terminate the struggle. As he prepares to deliver the final blow, he lifts his armpits and emits an unpleasant stink. Saria interrupts the monkey's punch and announces her intention to marry him. He recalls a different future and wonders what changed. Saria invites him to her home and encourages him to eat. However, Chi argues that he is a human and cannot marry her due to their different species. The delicious lunch distracts him from his previous remarks, and he appreciates Saria's ability to repair his garments like a caring wife. He suggests that she would make an excellent wife if she married a gorilla, but she advises him to simply marry her. After weeks of being stuck with Saria, he understands he has options for escape. Saria interrupts his plotting, telling him that he's too unattractive to date a human female and instead date a monkey because he resembles one.
Yo, that one there was a violation. Personally, I wouldn't have it.
The escape plan will be implemented after she is distracted, but a big spider is on the verge of killing him. Saria knows he is in danger and punches the spider into the sky. When she inquires about his well-being, he senses her genuine concern. Despite her concern for him, he continues to reject her due to their biological differences. Meanwhile, a skeleton sits underneath them, remembering how he lost confidence in mankind and cursed the entire planet. He wishes someone could save him from this darkness. Saichi believes spending time with Saria isn't too horrible. However, she discloses to him that she has been hunting for the fruits of evolution to share with her future spouse. He denies knowing about it, but Saria explains that ascending to the apex of one's race requires not eating 11 of them, otherwise they would die. Saichi begs her not to murder him after she threatens to kill the person who took them. Saria is motivated to marry him, but when he refuses, she wonders whether he hates her. Although he claims not to detest her, Saria is eager to marry him right away. After she goes, Saichi seizes his sole opportunity to flee and flees into the trees. On the opposite side of the globe, the god of the world greets the high school kids and tells them they are the only ones capable of conquering the Demon King due to their amazing strength. After weeks of training, the commander orders them to continue training or risk dying in the woods. He flees for freedom, but Saria eventually catches him and speeds like Usain Bolt, warning him not to go that way. Saichi vows to never be her prisoner again and escapes with superhuman speed. They keep sprinting until Saichi reaches the entrance to a tunnel filled with crimson air. After hearing Saria cry, he enters and discovers a skeleton on a throne. The skeleton greets him and compliments him on his strength for surviving thus far. When Saichi examines the skeleton, he discovers it is just a level 1 Dark Lord. He wonders how he's so weak, but the Dark Lord instructs him to check again since he was tricked. Saichi sees his level is 1500 and realizes he's about to face his demise. The Dark Lord quickly disappears behind him, preparing to murder with a swipe of his sword. In the end, Saria intervenes and is stabbed to save Saichi. She embraces Saria and expresses gratitude for her timely rescue. He yells her name and says he'll fetch her a recovery potion. She expresses gratitude for being addressed by name, despite the fact that she is no longer alive. She explains that her unusual skill has allowed her to continue communicating, but this will not last long. He wonders why she would love him, especially when he continuously criticizes her and doesn't view her as he does. Saria appreciated being treated as a regular person, as Saichi was the only person she had ever dealt with normally. She asks him to continue smiling for her as a final plea. The Dark Lord is enraged by their absurd love, prompting Saichi to call his blade and claim ignorance of the situation. He disappears behind him, calling his bone and blade to slash at him. Saichi expresses his surprise at Saria's kindness. He expresses his love for Saria as memories of their time together return to him. As she hears his words, a golden radiance surrounds her. He uses his magical talent to hurl water streams towards the Dark Lord, but they are devoured by his empty hole. The Dark Lord orders Saichi to accept his death, but he refuses as he has not yet reacted to Saria's affections or completed his last metamorphosis. He moves quickly and attacks the evil lord. The Dark Lord acknowledges defeat and expresses gratitude for assisting in his escape from the jail. Saichi witnesses the Dark Lord reunite with his loved one and their subsequent disappearance. Saichi goes towards Saria and expresses her desire to marry him. After kissing, she expresses gratitude via tears. She shines brighter, about to go, but he notices the most beautiful girl sleeping there. She rushes towards him and hugs him, wondering whether he knows her. Saichi discovers he had been with Saria, the world's most beautiful goddess. After reading the terrible narrative of the Dark Lord, Saichi explains that they were able to reconnect him with his loved one via their collaborative efforts. After opening the treasure chest, he offers Saria a clothing to disguise herself. The godlike announcer continues to provide power-ups, prompting Saria to inquire about their nature. He claims it's a gift from the gods, but the announcer provides the final details. The vast quantity of experience he has gained will now enable him to evolve. As he evolves, his eyes and speech change, and he becomes taller. He tries to show off, but Saria feels like a river of water is going to burst out of her pussy. Sorry, I meant a flood of tears would flow from her eyes. That's exactly what I intended. Saria pledges to accompany him on his travels, but a weird animal interrupts their conversation. He rewards them for conquering the evil king with a travel set and new clothing, similar to an MMORPG experience. They are transported to a grass-filled realm. Together, they set off on their new journey. However, before reaching the settlement, they confront a random slime, which Saichi defeats with one strike. He eventually levels up, and a light shines from his eyes. The helmet turns into a black robe, as a message falls from within. The sheep congratulates him on reaching a new level and informs him that his helmet has developed to match his strength. Before departing, he surprises him by blowing up a letter. When they reach in town, Saichi inquires with a local about the Adventurers Guild. The guy cautions him to avoid coming to the guild at all costs due to the negative consequences. The guy welcomes them to the capital, but they choose to reject his counsel and visit the guild.
Open the door or I'm gonna throw rocks through your windows, you dumb whore.
Saichi believes that this is the guild and opens the door again. Saria inquires about the contents of the guild, which he perceives to be populated by insane individuals. Saichi is going to flee with her, but the guild leader stops him and invites them to join the guild. He flexes his muscles and gently forces them inside. Mrs. Plot is informed by the guild master of a new member, Aries, who presents herself as the receptionist. Saria encourages him to join the guild, pointing out that everyone else is having fun here. They join the guild, but a group of 3 bandits enter and start picking on Saichi. They hold him and tell him that they want him to join them for a while. The men escort him out with bats and lead him to a muscular man. They make him remove his shroud, and everyone finds him attractive. They ask if he wants to develop the storyline and assure him that it will be okay once he is acclimated to it.
What do you mean by that?
Saichi flees at full speed, but their desire for his powerful legs becomes stronger. The master admires the newcomer's resilience in the face of adversity, as most do not survive. The guild leader informs them of their first assignment to acquire money and introduces them to Artoria, their superior who will join them. Saichi stares at Artoria and admires her powerful laser blasters. Artoria expresses her unwillingness to join the expedition, but the master assures her that he has survived the strange bandits and will also endure her tragedy. Saichi grudgingly agrees to aid them, introducing herself as Artoria the Calamity. They walk to begin their first adventure, which leads them to an orphanage. Saichi wonders why Artoria is walking so far ahead of everyone. When a boy trips and Artoria attempts to help him, the logs behind her fall on them. Saichi rushes to check on them, but Artoria anticipates a negative outcome. She's disappointed with herself. As Saichi approaches the ruins for his next task, he is trampled by everyone else. Artoria knelt in sorrow. She blames herself since she has been labeled as Calamity throughout her life. She blamed herself for her parents' deaths and lived alone due to a curse. When Saichi's arm emerges from the rubble, Artoria chastises him for acting without guidance, fearing for their safety. After yelling at him, she flees, but he sees her as a good person. Despite ongoing instruction, none of the students had reached their full potential after only 5 months. The receptionist asks whether they have a place to stay, but due to their nomadic lifestyle, they do not have one. Artoria graciously offers them to stay with her, which they gratefully accept. As their journey continues, Artoria requests that he obtain additional herbs before returning home. After hours of seeking, he overhears 3 goblins discussing their plans to capture humans. Saichi decides to interrupt them, but they threaten to murder him for revealing their secret plan to take over the human realm. The summoned huge troll attacks Saichi with all his power. Saichi's secret skill allows him to absorb an opponent's strike and transfer the damage to them. When he asks about the herbs, they all turn away and escape. When their supervisor wonders why they rebelled and entered the human world, they explain that they wish to aid her more. Teleportation spells were established up across the realm to reach the Black Dragon God's entrance. Despite their nasty behavior, the master punishes them with 500 whips for defying her. Saichi and Saria's last guild test is scheduled, with Artoria serving as the proctor. Saichi and Saria strive to battle a slime to complete their goal. Artoria discovers secret teleportation spells around the terrain when the slime teleports away before it can strike. She instructs them to return to the guild, but mistakenly casts a teleportation spell. Saichi and Sarai cuddle her and accompany her inside. Artoria instructs them to stay close to her and gives them a stone to locate her in case they become separated. Artoria accidentally steps on a stone, causing a wall to rise from the floor and divide them. Saichi panics and attempts to strike the wall, but ends in hurting his hand. Artoria fights alone against a mummy, bleeding profusely, but eventually has the resolve to cut it down. Saichi and Saria search for Artoria and discover a secret chest, which Saichi chooses to ignore. The chest initiates communication, requesting opening and releasing internal limbs. It leaps at them, and Saichi smashes it with a single strike. While searching for items within the chest, Saichi discovers a ring with a -2 luck multiplier. Saria notices a light coming from her plot and wonders why the stone Artoria gave them is red. Artoria approaches the boss's lair and prepares to face the dragon, who welcomes her death. They understand that the stone she gave them only lights up red when she is in danger. They attempt using the guiding stone to find her. When Saria orders Saichi to stop striking at the wall, he simply continues to do so. Despite being repeatedly decimated by the dragon, Artoria is determined to reunite with her friends. Calamity cries as a crimson aura surrounds her, threatening to reveal how her moniker came to be. Her energy emanates, and her shape alters. She charges towards the dragon, but he knocks her down. Despite her best efforts, she is unable to resist the dragon's 3 blades, which propel her back against the wall. Artoria is irritated by her frailty, but uses her abilities to launch at the dragon. However, he stabs her in the chest, dismissing her and claiming that she pleased him. Artoria's dying moments are spent reflecting about Saichi and Saria, the only ones who have ever made her happy since being plagued with this tragedy. The dragon apologizes for the deaths caused by her fire breath. She hears Saichi's voice, informing her that they've come to help her. Saichi quickly teleports away as the dragon prepares to strike again. He attempts to approach the dragon, but its energy assaults repel him. Saichi thinks he's in trouble after assessing the dragon, which has a level of over 5,000. The dragon flicks his tail, and Saichi barely teleports away. The dragon uses telekinesis to keep Saichi in place and blasts him into the wall with his tail whip. Saichi vomits blood and collapses, perplexed as to why none of his abilities are working. The dragon casts Hell's Inferno, his most powerful spell, to conclude the conflict. Saria commands him to employ the water magic he used against her. He summons his legendary knife and unleashes a massive cascade on the dragon. The dragon becomes enraged and attacks Saichi with fire. Saichi uses his greatest talent, Gale, to escape, but the dragon keeps him trapped. The godlike announcement empowers him to withstand intimidation and walk freely. He unleashes the final skill with the sword and rushes towards the monster. The announcer repeatedly presses the leveling up button, and Saria rushes to hug him. Saria's medicinal herbs have healed Artoria, but they are still unable to flee. Saichi hurries to open the treasure box to find a way home, but notices the dragon's jewel has overwhelming stats. He chooses to eat it to improve his magical strength. When he unlocks the treasure chest, he finds another black coat to wear as Kirido. The prize bunny arrives from a letter and teleports them out of the dungeon they were previously in. Artoria expresses disappointment with Saichi, but later apologizes for their involvement in her misery. She shows him her luck points, which are -2 million. Artoria's tragedy has plagued her since childhood, affecting everyone around her as well. She apologizes for causing them hardship, but Saichi assures her that she has never given them misfortune. Saria agrees. A few days pass, and Saichi searches for Artoria, who has vanished since then. He finds Artoria sitting amid the ruins he produced during their exam and assures her that everyone loves and misses her. Saichi hugs Artoria and promises to stay by her side until she can smile from her heart, leading her to cry. Later, Artoria expresses gratitude for his kindness, while Saichi wonders whether there is a way to help her. He recalls her telling him that her luck has always been bad, and knows he has found the answer. Saichi begs Artoria for her hand and places a ring on her finger. Saichi explains that this ring is the ring of happiness, which will reverse her curse and increase her luck from -2 million to +4 million. Artoria will no longer be the tragedy, and he promises her of his unwavering support. She pulls him off of her and runs away. After several days of searching, he finally finds her. Saichi musters all his courage to clear up the misunderstanding. Artoria acknowledges that he did not give her the ring because she was unlucky for him, but she has fallen in love with him and does not care about the past. Despite knowing he had Saria, she begs whether she may still remain at his side, despite her lack of ladylike qualities. Saichi understands he can't pick between the two and pushes her back.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
Saria asks him to accept her. Saria regrets not having him all to herself, but recognizes her inability to dominate him in the first place. Saichi expresses gratitude to Saria for being the finest girl. He then goes to Artoria, who asks him to call her R, as her close friends do. Watch the next video, and until next time, my fellow famous narrative masters.